You're born in Cuba.
Sí.
Why do you think that a very large percentage of Cubans voted for Trump as opposed to a larger percentage of other Latinos
Yeah.
don't?
Yeah. I will explain. Since we come from a dictatorship communist from Cuba, there is this saying that when you come here, they make the analogy of saying like, oh, Republicans is the anti-communists and Democrats the communists. Oh, I'm gonna vote for the same. You know, we are ignorant in that part and we don't make our own research.
The overwhelming Donald Trump vote came from you guys, man.
Yeah, that's true.
It came from
But
you
not,
guys.
not just Cubans though, not just Cubans. It was like within among Hispanic men, above than 50%. And do you think those people that vote for Trump are racist? The 50% Latino that vote for Trump are racist? No, like I say, they vote for Trump because they believe the speech that he was saying, oh, we go after the criminals. Who doesn't want the criminals or whatever? Cuban, Mexican, European, they buy into that, they believe it, and lower taxes and economies. What I'm saying, they vote for it for different reasons. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that me voting for Trump means I'm racist or I feel better. That's when people do go wrong.
You said right now that at least 50% of Latin men
Man.
voted for Trump. And you said they couldn't all been racist, right?
Yeah, of course.
My opinion, yes.
They're
Yes.
all racist? Your
Yes.
opinion, everyone that vote for Trump is racist?
Yes. And let me share with you why I believe that.
Okay.
Because the overwhelming amount of evidence that I've seen of Trump supporters, Latino Trump supporters, their reasons for voting were all about self-hatred. See, a lot of us Latinos, we supported the deportation of criminals, but only if they look like this. We never cared about the deportation or getting rid of any other people, white tea, European. We didn't care about white tea immigrants. We didn't care about European immigrants. We don't care about Asian immigrants. We don't care about immigrants from other lands. We only want to support the deportation of people that look like this. That's self-racist. All of our problems as Latinos that we have with illegals coming, it's people that look like us. All the time. We have gringo views when it comes to immigrant problem. When have you seen any Latino complain about the immigration when it comes from Asia or from Europe? Not one time. All of our complaints as Latin people has been people that look like this, not people that look like you. The Cubans have no problem with being surrounded in neighborhoods and environments of people that look like you. They have a problem with more immigrants coming that look like this. I'm Mexican. I'm not afraid to say it. I've seen a lot of Mexicans get on here and express, oh, it's not about race, man. We just want the illegals out. Well, who are the illegals, though? What they look like? Because they're not talking about the illegals that come from Europe. They're talking about the illegals that look like this. Is this the truth? All of the people in this country all have a problem with a certain demographic of immigrants.
Oh, that's true.
Los asiáticos, the Asians, they have no problem with more Asians coming. Los africanos, they have no problem with more Africans coming. Los europeos, they have no problem with more Europeans coming.
At the end of the day, everyone stick with their own.
But in this particular case, is Latinos have a problem with other immigrants that are Latinos. That's my point. You see, all these other razas, they want their people to come. We are the only ones who have a problem with more Latinos coming. Because when it comes to the immigration problem, los blancos, they're okay with more blancos coming. Look at what Trump is doing, getting rid of the.
I know.
Listen, Trump is getting rid of the indigenous and the Haitian immigrants, but bringing white ones from South Africa.
I know. I saw it. I know.
From Ukraine. We're bringing Europeans by the boatloads, by the planes. No problem. We want them. And when have you seen a Latino have a problem with those coming? We don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with the ones that look like this.
I know. I get it. And it's true.
You, as a white T Latino from Cuba, in your opinion, why do white T Latinos have a difficult time accepting that they're white T? Because there's lots of them in Latin America that are just white. And that's it.
Yeah, I know.
Why do they have a difficult time identifying as white T and they think that because they're from Latin America, all of a sudden, somehow, some way, they're not white tea. And why do they think that being white tea is only white tea American?
Because it's a cultural thing also behind, like they don't, even though they may look white, they don't feel as a white American, and they don't connect the same.
You're born in Cuba.
See,
Why do you think that a very large percentage of Cubans voted for Trump as opposed to a larger percentage of other Latinos
yeah,
don't?
yeah, I will explain. Since we come from a dictatorship communist from Cuba, there is this saying that when you come here, they make the analogy of saying like, oh, Republicans is the anti-communists and Democrats the communists. Oh, I'm gonna vote for the same. We are ignorant in that part, and we don't make our own research.
My experience has been that a very large percentage of Cubans, especially the white tea ones, they
Yeah.
tend to actually have very white tea supremacist views, like very racist, anti-indigenous, anti-black views. Do you see it?
In some Cubans, of course, yeah, some Cubans are racist, yes, for sure. Like in every country, you got
Where,
racist
where,
people.
oh, okay. Like in every country.
Of
Like
course, some people
okay.
you got racist people in every country.
Okay, great. Now, this is where the white tea Latino comes into play, because it's very common for white tea Latinos to have these views. You see, you said that one of your friends that is Argentinian. Argentinians are white tea people. Although, like, white tea Latinos don't like gringos. I know this. I see it. The truth is that they are the gringos in Latin America because they are the white tea racist people, and they're racist towards the indigenous and the black people in Latin American countries. And this is why it's important to identify them as white tea. Although they're Latinos, although culturally they're different. Sure, sure, sure. That's true. They are literally the gringos of Latin America. They
Yeah,
behave the same way like the gringos here. The gringos here behave like that towards black and indigenous people, etc. The white tea Latinos, they behave like that collectively towards the indigenous and blacks.
but what I'm saying is that I'm not like American white because
Okay, so there you go. That's the ticket for me, though. See, obviously you're not quote unquote American white, meaning you're not a descendant of Germany or of England, of Ireland. However, white tea Latinos are still descendants of Europe nonetheless, whether it be Portugal or Spain or France.
mostly Spain,
Sure.
France.
That's the kind of like the trick that a lot of white tea Latinos, play is, oh wait, I'm not white tea. But you in fact are though. You in fact are white tea.
I guess, yeah. I mean, yeah, my great grandfather was from Spain, Islas Canarias, and yeah,
Sometimes we forget history that a lot of the Spaniards that came, they were not full white either. They were mixed with Arab a lot of times because the Moors.
yeah, that's
So
true.
a lot of the mixture that you guys have, you already had it when you came here. A lot of the white tea Latinos, they think that they're mixed with us. It's like, no, you guys already came mixed. You guys already came mixed. That's why a lot of Latinos, white tea Latinos, Spaniards, especially Italians, se miran como árabe poquito. If you really pay attention,
See,
you guys already were mixed with them people. This is where I have a problem with white tea Latinos, is that your views, they come from a place of privilege. Because here's the truth. Here's the truth. You as a white tea Latino, the chances of you being identified as an immigrant is not high. It's not high. It's not high. You have to talk and they have to hear that you speak Spanish. You don't look like the immigrants that they want out. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get it. Okay, because I'm kind of white. That's what you
Okay,
say.
okay. You watch the news. You watch the news. When
Yeah.
every time that you see, whether it's on TikTok, on anywhere, whether in the news, on TikTok, on YouTube, whenever you see ICE coming for people, who they look like? You or me?
They rush up profile racing. Mostly more Latino features for sure. Yes, for
Oh,
sure.
but you like that look like you or like me?
More like you.
Do you feel targeted?
Uh, no, not really.
Ask me the same question.
Do you feel targeted?
Absolutely.
They stop.
It doesn't matter.
They have stopped.
Yes, it doesn't matter
Okay.
if I have papers. If you look like this, you
I know.
look illegal,
I know.
and
I
that's what
know.
I mean. That you speak from a place of privilege. And that
Maybe.
is where the white T Latino comes into play. That you could say, you see, hey, Ricardo, yeah, I'm white T Latino, but I'm not like the gringo. But you see, this is where you are white T because you don't feel targeted. How come I do?
For sure. Yes. And it's damn wrong. And I'm totally against it. For sure.
Something that it catch my attention and is that at the end of the day, number one, I don't know any black Cuban that talks good about the white man in Cuba. And I think that at the end of the day, as a Latin American person that lives in my place in Latin America, something that always catch my attention is that usually people don't understand the difference between class and race. People think that because I'm poor, I'm automatically not white. No, you can be a white person with a low income. It doesn't change the fact how society look like you and how society treats you because of it. At the end of the day, the only reason why not only white Cubans but white Latinos does not identify as white is because the white Americans do not treat them as a white person just because they speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're mute, if you don't talk and you go down the street, white people is going to treat you as one of their own. Automatically you speak and they know that you are not from the United States. You're automatically Hispanic, Latino. But at the end of the day, the term Latino is very problematic because when they say Latino, they are referring to people that look like you. They're not referring to people that look like me. I'm just a black girl. Since the adjustment of Cuba Act, like el ajuste cubano,
Okay.
since that happened back there in 1966, Cubans treat other Hispanic bad and poorly. Why? Because they think that because they have a privilege that can easily become an American, automatically you're trash. Because what is the only requisito? What is the only thing that they take into consideration when the Cuban adjustment was running? The only condition that they took into place is that hey, you have 1 year in this country legally or illegally. I don't care. Just because you're Cuban, you automatically have the permanent residency. So when Cubans saw that happen, they say, hey, we have an advantage over all the Latin American people because we're in the promised land. We are here in the American dream. We are living the dream. You cannot do that because we're Cuban, so we socially have an advantage against the Latino community. So I just wanted to say that just because you don't consider yourself white, it doesn't mean that you are not white, and it does not mean that people do not treat you like one, and does not mean that you're going to have the benefit of being white. At the end of the day, you can speak Spanish, you can speak Russian, but automatically just speak Spanish because the white man in America does not consider white because you speak Spanish and you don't speak English. Automatically, you think that you're different, but you are the same. What is the best example? Spanish people don't want to know anything about Italians. Italians don't like French. French don't like Spanish. They hate each other. And they bring that hatred here into the Americas. That is the reason why they left that seed of hatred inside your mind. Because at the end of the day, because when, at least here in the Dominican Republic, between Haiti and Dominican Republic, for example, French and Spain, because the French want nothing to do with the Spaniards, automatically they treat each other different. You are exactly the same people. The only difference between you and any gringo that I can see walking the street is that you speak Spanish and he speak English.
After 1 year, 1 day, not committing any crimes and whatever, I thank God for that. I wish all immigrants would have that. But you can apply and become a green card holder if you didn't commit any crimes, if you behave good. And you can see now a lot of Cubans have been deported because they didn't were granted a parole when they were getting in, and they couldn't apply to the Cuban line. They're being deported. A lot of Cubans.
They're being deported because white people in America do not see them as white. Gringos don't care about culture when you're white from Spain or when you're white from Europe. At the end of the day, everything in Europe, in comparison with the United States, they have a different cultures, but nevertheless, they're greeted, they're welcome, they're expected, they're respected. So if the culture is a situation, they are not seeing that there is any problem with Asians because, of course, stereotypically speaking, Asians are smart. They can be here, whatever. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if it's a cultural problem, why the only cultural problem is only with Latin American people? Spaniards want to come there, when Portuguese people want to be there, when Italians want to be there, when South African people want to be there, they don't care about the culture. They welcome the culture. But when it's a culture that comes from Latin America, automatically there is a problem with the culture.
No, I agree. And what I've been seeing is and it's true. They're getting scared with mostly Latinos because after whites we're the second largest ethnic group, and they're becoming scared of oh my, and we have kids, we have family, we're good at having kids, and they're like, man, by 2050, if we don't stop this bleeding and they keep growing and we don't have kids, Latino will be the majority, and that scares them. Even in the army, we're the second largest ethnic group after white in the army. I almost joined, so that's why I did my research. We're the second largest, so they're kind of taking over. So a lot of they're doing this cleaning because they're scared that we may take over and become the largest. And some of them have been like literally openly about it. This blondie, I saw her yesterday. She was like, "Oh, talking about it, like, oh, I don't want America to become demographic different, and you know, this is a country, white demographic country." She said those words.
But you see, what you just explained about, gringos, Americanos, that they want to keep it a white tea country, that's exactly how collectively white tea Latinos are in Latin American countries. They are okay with Europeans coming to Latin American countries, perfectly fine. Pero en el momento que un haitiano se mete a México, ay, ¿qué? You see, that's what I'm talking about. As soon as somebody that is non-white tea, non-European, se mete a un país en Latinoamérica, hay un problema. Pero todos los europeos de España, de Francia, de Italia que llegan, ay, sí, venga. And that's the, you see, it's the same mentality. White tea people have the same mentality no matter what country it is. Esa mentalidad que tú tienes que no hay racismo aquí. En México dicen lo mismo. Los latinos blancos, they always say, white tea Latinos in all Latin American countries, they say the same thing. Aquí no hay racismo. I'm going to grab exactly what you said. You said, yeah, there is racism everywhere, but not like in this country. But that's exactly what white tea Latinos say all the time. And you know what's crazy? Meanwhile, white tea Latinos in every Latin American country always say that. It's always the black and brown people of those same Latin American countries that say, no, there is racism. But white tea Latinos always try to gaslight and always trying to shame and guilt us when we actually complain about racism and colorism, discrimination in Latin American countries. Because I was born in Mexico.
Yeah.
Listen, in every pueblo of indigenous people, they are so incredibly oppressed and suppressed and silenced. Meanwhile, la gente blanca de México, oh, aquí no hay racismo, aquí está bonito. Why is it always that the white Latinos always want to be so proud of the country que aquí sí está bonito, but it's always the indigenous people of those countries and the black people of those countries that they don't have the same view. And it's for the same reason, Cubano, it's for the same reason that I ask you, do you feel like a target? You're from Cuba. You were born in Cuba. You have a big accent. I don't. And yet you don't feel like a target in this country. How come I do?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, just because you have 6 friends that doesn't experience racism, it does not mean that that's the reality of the whole country. Because let's be clear, racism is normalized. And when you normalize something, you get blind about it. And when you get blind about it, that's a way that your brain has to stop the trauma of the reality that you're experiencing. So just because you don't have friends that black friends or color friends or mixed friends, how you say it, just because they don't express that they suffer for racism, it does not mean that it's not happening. It means that they just normalize that type of trauma. Because at the end of the day, me as a black friend, if I experience some racism and I have white friends, I just don't express it because I know that they will never understand what I'm talking about. I know that they're going to minimize it. I know that I'm going to say, ay, trepéatelo, es un disparate. I know that they're not going to see it the same way I see it because they don't live it, because they don't have the skin. So at the end of the day, until the skin color, until your skin is the target, You will never understand, you will always minimize it, and you will always find an excuse. So the fact that you have friends that never express to you that they don't suffer it, it does not mean that they are not suffering. And if they are, maybe they normalize it to the point that it doesn't bother them anymore, and that is even worse. Because when you normalize trauma, when you normalize racism, when you normalize segregation, you're telling to the world and to the systemic, to the system, that you is okay, that you can keep being racist at me. So sometimes as a black person you just have to get blind on purpose so you can move on with your life, because at the end of the day, if I suffer, if I cried for every racist that's out there, I will not go on with my life because it's suffocating. We suffer a lot in silence just because we know that we are going to be misunderstood, just because we know that we are not going to take into consideration, because you don't care, and you don't care because you don't live it. And if you don't live it, you can empathize with it, but when you empathize with something, it's because you are not in those shoes.
Let me
You got a
pause.
good point. You got
Una
a good
pausa,
point.
una pausa. So I responded to a comment
Yeah.
right here, and I want to use this as an example. She said, as a white tea woman, she said, a white tea Latina, she said that the problem in Latin America is more classism than racism. That's a very classic white tea point of view, and that's
Yes.
my whole point. See, this is where we different. This is where we're different as a people. You ask black and indigenous people in Latin America if classism or racism is a bigger problem, and we will always say racism. White people will always say classism. Why? Because poverty is the only thing that hurts you, never racism, because there's never going to be systemic racism against you. It's always against us. So racism might as well not exist. But for us, it exists every day.
I get that, and I'm not gonna be like, I understand, and you got good points. I give it to you guys, and for sure, I'm not fully in your shoes for sure. And you got a good point. You got a good point. Maybe you got a good point. What can I say? I'm not denying it.
The white people that I've always met in my life, I never shared anything about my struggle ever. Why? Because if I learned anything about white people, whether gringo white people or white Latinos, is because it doesn't affect them. The most you'll ever get out of them is, oh, okay. Anyway, so
Ay, perdón, hay un refrán en español que dice di que dile un blanco qué pie te duele y te voy a decir cuál pie te va a pisar sin querer.
Pero I wanna say something. Quiero decir algo rápido.
yeah, sure.
Would you agree? Like, if I go to Thailand, Philippines, or whatever state to live, when you become the minority, you always experience some sort of confrontation, racist, xenophobia, whatever you want to call it, even black, whatever. If I go maybe to, let's say, Sudan, and I'm the only white person there, you think that you give me that they will treat me different? Like, it's kind of like,
Here,
what is your opinion on that topic?
that's
A good topic.
that is such a great question, man. I'm
Yes.
so glad you asked that. I never thought I lived the day where somebody would ask me this question,
Yeah.
and yet
I
I'm.
always forgot. I always meant to ask, and every time that we talk, I forgot. Like, fuck, I should have
Let
asked.
me answer that for you. Let me answer
Go,
that.
go, go.
You see, the question is, Ricardo, even though I'm a white Latina and I'm privileged, what if I were to go somewhere like in Sudan, maybe like in Asia, and I'm a minority? You think they'll discriminate against me? Here's the thing. White people have pushed decade after decade. White people have pushed propaganda with their mass media of this white standard of beauty. White are the good guys. White are the heroes. So you want to know something, brother? No matter where you go, if you're white tea, chances are you're gonna be embraced and welcomed because one, you're the standard of beauty. Two, here comes Jesus. But if you have a Prieto, a Moreno, go anywhere in the world, of people who have been demonized by the same white people that make themselves look like the good guys and the heroes, we are going to now be demonized. You want to know how I know this? Because as soon as Middle Eastern people, and I've experienced this, I have a video experience in this. As soon as Middle Eastern people come to this country, they already by default think that white people are the good guys. They want to be next to them. They want their proximity.
Muslims?
Any of them, Middle
In
Eastern,
general.
any of them, Asians too. Any people that are from other countries, they come here and they want that proximity to white people. And by default, they don't want nothing to do with black and brown people. Nothing to do with us. So you mean to tell me these people don't know us at all? But as soon as they come here, they already feel like they're safe with white people, but they're unsafe with us? Where'd they learn this from? Where they learned this from?
Media, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, the mass media. Whitey people pushing propaganda decade after decade after decade, depicting themselves as the good, as the hero, as the Jesus, as the beautiful people. In every way, shape, and form, in every type of media. So anywhere you go as a whitey Latino, you're actually going to be considered handsome. You're going to be los que va a hacer mejorar la raza de ellos. I ain't consider that though. So you see, this.
Man, some people would consider handsome too. Come on, don't say that.
Oh,
And you
well, I am, but you
it
see,
doesn't matter that much.
okay, I know I am, but here that's not the argument here. That's not the argument. The argument is that by default, because you are white tea presenting, there's already expectations about you. Que eres una persona buena. You're a good person. It's expected. The default of you is a good person. The default of me is cartel, gang member, dealer of you know what. That is my default no matter where I go.
That's stereotypes, yeah. And it's
Okay,
true.
and so now we're gonna go all the way around. That is why you don't feel like a target, and I do.